During this presentation, I'm going to teach you how exactly to get into clinical psychology school. Now, you might think that getting into clinical psychology school is all about being the best applicant when it comes to your GPA, your GRE, and all of those other things. And yeah, there is definitely some truth to that. But honestly, a lot of getting into clinical psychology school is really about psychology, which is ironic because you're wanting to become a psychologist. And so it makes sense that you're going to use some psychology to actually get into clinical psychology programs. If you're like me and you ever wanted to succeed in psychology, you know that it can be really difficult. In fact, I've known of so many students who have applied multiple times to graduate school and still have not yet gotten accepted. And even for myself, I had my own personal challenges in being rejected by a ton of clinical psychology schools. And I don't know about you, I don't know if you've ever had that feeling of just wanting to be successful, just wanting to be lucky just once to get your dreams accomplished and attained. Question is why hasn't it happened yet for you? You've been looking, you've been searching, you've been researching, you've been online, you've been doing your homework, you've been doing your studies, you've been getting through undergrad, and you've been doing all of these different things to get you to the point of becoming a clinical psychologist and getting into graduate school, and it still hasn't happened yet. What are some of the things that you've tried? What are some of the things that you've done? When is it going to be your turn to finally get accepted? I'm going to reveal some tips and tricks and guidance in terms of what nobody else is teaching prospective students about how to get into graduate school. From being in graduate school myself and also being behind the scenes of what supervisors and faculty members are actually looking at, I can tell you some of those secrets and some of those things that they're specifically looking for when it comes to their applicant. A little bit about me, my journey started in dental school, where I was in dental school for 1.5 years and I absolutely hated it. I was so happy to get out of dental school. And then after getting out of dental school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, so I became a medical exercise specialist and I started personal training for geriatric populations who had gone through a number of different types of physical injuries. During that setting, I got exposed to clinical psychology, specifically a sports psychologist, and I was really intrigued by the whole body-mind connection of clinical psychology, which is what inspired me to want to pursue that degree. Now, the difficulty is that I didn't really have a true mentor, and I had to kind of figure out that application process on my own. And it was really, really challenging, and I second guessed myself and I doubted myself constantly throughout the whole process, whether it was my personal statement, my letter writers, my CV, what I was going to say in the interview, what questions I was going to ask. I mean, it was very overwhelming. I knew I needed a mentor, and I actually called and emailed a ton of psychologists. I emailed probably over 15 psychologists in my area, called about 10 psychologists in my area. There was no response from emails, no response from calls. It felt like I was truly alone. Finally, I was able to meet with a psychologist. He was willing to meet with me, and he talked on the phone with me and also met with me in person. And he taught me so much about the application process. He also taught me so much about the field in general and about where it was heading and what to expect and how to be successful in the application process. And I took that valuable conversation and that discussion and I used it to my advantage to help myself apply for graduate school to the best of my abilities. The real problem about getting into graduate school is that there is a lack of true mentorship in this field. When you look online, there are so many confusing information about how to get into graduate school and about how to be competitive that it can just be overwhelming, and a lot of people just don't even want to deal with it. And oftentimes you might hear things that are conflicting with what you just heard or just seen from a website. And so those conflicting messages can leave you paralyzed and honestly not wanting to be motivated at all to go through that application process. For me, getting to graduate school meant more than just becoming a clinical psychologist. It really meant becoming a mentor for people who are now going through the same process that I went through, and offering any piece of advice and guidance that could also potentially be really helpful for them. Since starting Phil's Guide to PsyD, I've gotten so many emails and comments and questions, and obviously lots of love poured into the channel about how many people I've helped in terms of getting into graduate school and becoming successful. Part of the reason why I created the free webinar course called Phil's Guide to PsyD, where I literally guide you from step to step all of the processes of the application so that you can feel ready and the most prepared for your interview and for hopefully getting accepted. I went through the pain of trying to get into graduate school, and I hope that you will not have to go through that same pain in terms of all of the research and hours that I put in terms of getting ready for this program. Not only will this webinar series save you hours of research on your own, but it will also make you a competitive applicant. Part of the reason is because I want you to get the results that you're looking for. I want you to have that confidence in your personal statement and turning it in and knowing that this is your best work. Same with the CV, same with getting prepared for the interview. Imagine what your life is going to be like once you've actually taken the first step into becoming a clinical psychologist. Going into graduate school for me was one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my entire life. I'm so thankful for the opportunity, and I'm so grateful to be able to become a mentor virtually to people who are also going through the same application process. Regardless of if you go through the webinar series, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope nothing but the best for you in your journey. Always remember that you got this. Hopefully, I'll see you in the webinar series.